The Clockmaker's Secret. In the small village of Windmere, nestled between misty hills and whispering woods, there lived an old clockmaker named Elias Thorne. His shop, Time's Echo, was a quaint little place filled with the ticking of hundreds of clocks, from towering grandfather clocks to delicate pocket watches. The villagers adored Elias, not only for his masterful repairs but also for his kind heart and gentle smile. But Elias held a secret. Every night after the last customer left and the shutters were drawn, Elias descended into the basement of his shop. Down there, hidden beneath old blueprints and rusting gears, stood a massive, unfinished clock, one unlike any other in the world. Its face was carved with strange symbols, and its hands moved not forward, but backward. Elias had been building this clock for over 40 years. It wasn't meant to tell time. It was meant to undo it. Decades earlier, Elias had been a brilliant inventor in the city. He was married to a woman named Leora, a painter with golden hair and eyes like the morning sky. But one rainy night, she vanished without a trace. Her disappearance tore a hole in Elias's soul. He searched for years, consulted detectives, psychics, even scientists. But nothing brought her back. And so, Elias turned to the only thing he understood better than anyone else, time. He began to study time as a physical force, how it moved, how it could bend, and maybe, how it could be reversed. He left the city, bought a little shop in Windmere, and began the greatest project of his life, the time reversal clock. Years passed. The villagers grew older. Children who once marveled at Elias's wooden toys grew up and brought their own children to his shop. Elias grew frail, his hands shaky, his beard snow white. Yet the clock in the basement remained unfinished. Until one stormy evening, when a traveler came to Windmere. She wore a long coat soaked with rain, and when she stepped into the shop, Elias felt something in his chest stir, a strange, aching familiarity. "Are you Elias Thorne?" she asked. He nodded, puzzled. "I believe this belongs to you." She placed a worn leather journal on the counter. Elias gasped. It was Leora's. Her name was written in her elegant script on the first page. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. The woman hesitated. I think I'm your granddaughter." The world seemed to tilt. She explained that Leora had reappeared years after vanishing, with no memory of where she'd been. She lived a quiet life in another town, raised a family, and passed away only recently. In her final days, fragments of memory returned, enough to tell her daughter about Elias and the clockmaker's shop in Windmere. Elias felt tears slide down his cheeks. All these years, he'd been trying to reverse time, to undo his past, but life had quietly moved forward, weaving a different fate. That night, Elias went to the basement and stood before the time reversal clock. It was nearly complete. Only one gear remained. He stared at it, heart torn. Then, gently, he placed the gear on the shelf, and walked away. The next morning, Elias opened his shop early. For the first time in years, he smiled not out of habit, but out of peace. His granddaughter helped him behind the counter, and the sound of ticking clocks filled the room, not to rewind time, but to cherish every second moving forward. And in the corner of the basement, the unfinished clock ticked quietly, backward, but content. The Clockmaker's Secret. In the heart of a small, misty village nestled between rolling hills, lived an old clockmaker named Elias. His shop, Timeless Wonders, stood at the end of the cobbled main street, its windows filled with clocks of every shape and size. Some ticked loudly, others whispered time away with barely a sound. All of them, however, had something in common: they were perfect. Not a second too fast or too slow. Dillinger said Elias's clocks kept time better than the stars. Elias was a quiet man with a long white beard, kind eyes, and hands steady as the gears he crafted. No one knew where he came from. He'd simply appeared one autumn morning decades ago, with nothing but a suitcase full of tools and a mysterious pocket watch he wore on a silver chain. Despite his silence, children loved him. He always had a sweet tucked behind his ear and a story hidden in his pocket. But it wasn't until a curious 12-year-old girl named Clara wandered into his shop on a rainy afternoon that his real story began to unravel. Clara was fascinated by the intricate clocks. She watched Elias work, mesmerized by how he turned tiny screws and aligned minute gears with the precision of a magician. One clock, in particular, caught her attention, a tall, dusty grandfather clock in the back corner. Unlike the others, it had no hands, and its face was cracked. When Clara asked about it, Elias paused for a long time, staring at it with an expression she didn't understand. "That one," he said finally, "doesn't measure hours or minutes. It measures moments." Clara returned day after day, and slowly, Elias opened up. He told her that the broken clock had once belonged to his wife, Leora, who disappeared long ago under mysterious circumstances. "She built it," he said softly, "not to track time, but to find it." Clara, intrigued, examined the clock more closely and noticed a strange inscription etched into its base: "When the moment is right, time will remember." Over the next few weeks, Elias taught Clara how to repair clocks, and together, they began working on the mysterious grandfather clock. As they replaced gears and polished brass, the clock began to hum, as if waking from a deep sleep. One evening, after fitting the final gear, the clock struck midnight, even though it had no hands. A strange light filled the shop, and for a moment, Clara saw a figure in the reflection of the clock's glass, an elegant woman with silver eyes and a warm smile. Elias dropped his tools. "Leora," he whispered. The light faded, and the shop fell silent, but the air felt changed. The next day, the clock stood still again, but now had two slender golden hands, slowly ticking forward. Elias never saw Leora again, but he believed she had spoken through time, letting him know she was safe somewhere beyond its grasp. From then on, he taught Clara everything he knew, passing on his secrets and his love of moments that mattered more than minutes. Years later, when Elias was gone, Clara inherited timeless wonders. She added a new inscription to the grandfather clock: "Time lost is never truly gone, it just waits to be found." And sometimes, late at night, when the shop is quiet and the clocks all chime together, villagers say you can still see Elias and Leora dancing in the glass.